No.
Oh, Matilda.
Sorry. All right. So now everyone can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so thank you all for joining this meeting. Good morning, everyone in Belgium, and good afternoon in Vietnam. This will be all about the emergency lighting, as Jasper already said in the previous meeting. So, as most of you will probably know, there is a new version of the European standards, in fact. So the 1838 and the 5172 have got an update in recent months. To be exactly, it was published in December last year. So it seemed for us a good opportunity to make a document that listed up all the important points of the standard. Most of it are not new, are already also applicable in the old version, but also point out the new changes and new points in the standard. There are not so many of it, so it is it is not that difficult. So Matilda and I made this document to show you. So we will first get an overview of the standards, and then at the end of the presentation get also a few guidelines, sort of good practices, with the aim to have a consistent study over all the teams of Sweco, so that everyone does a bit the study in the same way. So yeah, that's it. So I think Matilda will now start and can take off.
All right. Try to. Yes. So this is a small overview of the presentation, like Stephen already explained. You will see in the presentation we have some things in green and some things in red. The things in green is for us important updates or addition compared to the previous norm. So this is things that if you already know the previous version, very good. This is things, be aware in your future designs that you take these new updates and additions also into consideration. Then the red text, you will see, we call it the Sweco standards, because the norm, it's a rather short document. It's not always 100% clear what they need, what they mean. So we have sometimes made a kind of interpretation or set a guideline. Okay, the norm says this, but to be on the safe side, we will do it like this. And this one we call the Sweco design guidelines, the Sweco standards. And you will see this it's in the red text throughout the presentation. So know if you ever have a problem with it, this is our interpretation of the norm. It's not set in stone or anything. It's so we all design in the same way within Sweco. All right. So you have 3 standards. This one will be mostly talked about today. How do you design an emergency light system for a building? On the other hand, you also have this norm, the 5172, which is more about testing emergency lighting. And then you have this one, it's more of a product norm. You will see, we will refer to it when we talk about emergency lighting in normal lighting. The most important thing about this norm, if people in a project want to apply emergency lighting in the normal luminaire, always ask or describe in your tenders this product norm as well. But we won't go further in it. So the standards, the new EN 1838, there's a new standard, but that doesn't mean that we need to update all existing old installations. Only for new installations, so new buildings we are designing or new major renovations with a building permit that we are designing need to follow these new rules. And the date of the building permit that it will be leading, it's the date of publication of the norm, which was 19th of December. So if you have projects ongoing and the permit is from before 19th of December, you can decide to still use the old norm, but we think it's useful to discuss this with the clients. In all the other new studies, we will from now on apply the new rules, and things in execution, projects and execution, it's interesting to evaluate according to the buildings permits, but also it can be interesting, but this is more for PLs to discuss this with the clients. And also, if they really want to apply it in the new norm, you also need to explain that there could be financial consequences. All right. This is what we already talked about the emergency unit in the normal lighting. So I will jump to the new standard for the new 1838 from 2024. This is how it looks. It's available via the NBN platform. You also should have a login through Sweco where you can download this. We also put the link here because that's how you can go through your Sweco account to this NBN platform. And if you have problems with it, reach out to us. We can help you find the documents itself. The emergency lighting norm is split up in different parts, and this will also be the structure of the presentation. So first we will talk about escape route lighting, then open area lighting, also known as anti-panic lighting, high-risk task area lighting, then something new, local area lighting, and there is also a chapter about standby lighting. And this is all, there's also a big umbrella, which is safety signs and points of emphasis that will need special attention in your design. Yeah, here you see the chapters of the standard as well. We try to put them, as you can see, we try to put the numbers of the standard also in the presentation. So if you look for something, you can easily find it in the PDF of the standard itself. We'll start with the emergency escape lighting. So this is connected to the safety signs and the point of emphasis, because this is an important one that maybe in current design we are sometimes not taking enough into consideration. So there is a group of points in a building where, according to the norm, you need special attention regarding emergency lighting. There is some names. You can see in titles, there is sometimes near. Sometimes they define it as at. And on the next slides, you will see sometimes they also mention 5 lux. This is important to remember when Steven later on will explain the design guidelines. So when you're near an emergency exit, near stairs, near change of level, at intersections of corridors, and at change of direction, when the escape route is unclear, this is new, this last part, you need to place an emergency lighting fixture within 2 meters of that point. Then also outside final emergency exits on the outside of the building. And then these 3, you see they all have 5 lux vertical also in the norm written with them. So this is more about first aid posts and AED systems. Then about next to near firefighting equipment or fire hoses and call points, so push buttons. And then also a new one in the norm, it's the escape routes and rescue plans, which are often close to the evacuation doors. So this is a new one. So also look for those when you're designing an emergency light installation. Then also near equipment for people with disabilities, for example, but this is a bit less common in Belgium. You have in toilets sometimes strings and buttons in toilet for disabled people. So there you will also need an emergency light. And then also the control equipment and switchboard. This is something we were actually already doing in our designs, but it wasn't specified that um, that directly in the norm. But now it's also in the norm. So it's something we were already doing, but now it's also really mentioned in the norm. And then also new in the norm, it's near the point where an alarm call is received from passenger lift car and escape winding facilities. This is often the panel on the top floor next to a lift. Also new in the update of the norm is that we need an emergency light near manual release control of locked doors. This is if you have automatic doors, they have a button like this. And this is also a new point. Then for safety signs, the norm, this is also a big new thing, which is maybe one of the most impactful things, that now all safety signs also need to be lit with 5 lux vertical minimum. So if you have an external illuminated emergency sign, you need to have 5 lux vertically, or you can use internally lit pictos. So then your internally lit picto minimum needs to have 2 candela per square meter. And then the safety sign should be positioned between 2 and 3 meters above the floor level. How we translate this in our practical guidelines, Steven will update you more on that. Or, no, it's already here. So what we have decided, we talked a lot about it. We think in practice it's going to be easier to meet the new standard if we from now on start to use internally lit safety signs. So then we have less coordination problems with the positions of the picto plates and where our emergency lights will be positioned. We also don't have to worry about the position of the height of the picto compared to the emergency light if we meet the 5 lux level. And then we also will have in our study 2 clear layers. We have the escape route lighting, which is really where do you need to go, that you see the escape route, and then we will have more the signalization with the signs. So that's why we are going to split it up. The only thing is that it can have a small extra cost, but we believe that it will resolve a lot of other problems that the new norm brings. Only if it's very, very clearly stated by the project team. So, for example, a client or an architect, but mostly a client, we can still apply normal plates, escape plates, with an external emergency lighting. But the basis will be internally lit safety signs. Exceptions will be a little plate provided by the architect, and we place an external emergency light fixture to illuminate that plate with 5 lux. Okay, now to the escape route lighting, so the light that can guide you safely out of the building. Before, we were designing the escape route as a center line where you needed 1 lux, and the rest of the escape route needed half a lux. This is now changed in the new norm. The whole band needs now 1 lux minimum. So it means we don't need to worry about the center line or a boundary zone. We just need to check, okay, this is my escape route. I make sure there's 1 lux on the whole escape route. You can exclude borders. So if the escape route is wider than 2 meters, you can take off half a meter. And if your escape route is 2 meters and narrower, your borders can be 1/4 of the escape route. And then the other things about uniformity and the glare, this is all the same as in the old norm. One new thing as well is here that from now on, you need redundancy for your escape route lighting. So you will always need 2 or more luminaires on one escape route. So it means if you have a small corridor, that in calculation, with one fixture, you will have enough to reach your 1 lux on the whole escape route. According to the norm, it won't be enough. You will need to have 2 fixtures there. They have giving one exception for escape routes smaller than 8 square meter. If you have internally lit picto, you can count that also as one of the fixtures, but I will show you some examples. So, for example, we have an escape route that is wider than 2 meters. So now we can take off 0.5 meter on each side of the emergency route, escape route, and the rest of this band should be over 1 lux, so minimum 1 lux on the whole band. The same corridor, but it's narrower than 2 meters or exactly 2 meters. We can take off 1/4 of the escape route, of the boundary zone, sorry, and the rest of the escape route will have to be minimum 1 lux. So for example, if you have 2 meters, it will be 0.5 meter here, 0.5 meter here. So then it's both of the rules, right? So just the most important is that you know it's completely 1 lux from now on, and not 0.5 lux and 1 lux on the center line. Then you have a long escape route. So here I'm good. I have my 2 escape route lighting fixtures, and I have here my SOS. And my SOS is smaller than 8 square meters. And because I have an internally lit picto here, 1 fixture will be enough. And this will also be our Sweco standard, that we will solve the SOSs like this. Okay, and then a small, this is interesting because we know in some projects sometimes we had difficulties. For example, when you're in a historic building or outside of the building, it's not always easy to place your emergency light at 2 meter height. This was required in the old norm. Now, 2 meter height is still the base for mounting height of emergency lighting fixtures, but now in difficult places, they make an exception for this. So if you're outside or in historic buildings and you can prove that you're compliant with the rules, you can have your fixtures mounted lower than 2 meter height. And then this is more if we do a lighting study, we will now put, because there was also sometimes discussion on this, the maintenance factor for standard situation will be put on 1 for emergency lighting studies. If you have a very dirty environment like industrial ateliers with a lot of dust, etc., it's recommended to have a lower maintenance factor because the dirt of dust will also impact your emergency lighting. Then if you do an emergency lighting calculation in Dialux, all reflections values must be on 0%, so you don't count any reflections. Normally the software takes this into consideration if you're in emergency lighting mode. And also for us, it will become more important that before we start the design of an emergency lighting installation, we get input from the design team. So really ask your PLs to provide you this information so you can make a good emergency lighting plan or study. Then when we look at open area lighting, also known as anti-panic lighting, the rules haven't really changed. So that's a good one. We provide 0.5 lux in the anti-panic areas. We can use a wall zone of 0.5 meter. Then also some attention for uniformity, glare. This hasn't really changed. Only here, when you need to apply anti-panic lighting, we were like already applying these rules, but they were kind of based on multiple different standards. Now they are all clearly mentioned in the 1838. So areas larger than 60 square meters need anti-panic lighting. If you have areas with a large number of occupants, it's also recommended to apply emergency lighting, anti-panic lighting in that area if there is tripping hazards. If you have toilet facilities and changing rooms larger than 8 square meters, and in motor generator rooms, control rooms, switch rooms, plant rooms. So in general, technical rooms, we also apply anti-panic area lighting. Okay, and then there's also a clarification in this norm. It's, yeah, now, because there is also sometimes discussion if you, for example, have a large atrium where there's also escape routes arriving, but it's also an anti-panic area. Now they have, in the new norm, also wrote a clarification for it, that you need to provide emergency escape route on the shortest obvious route through this area with a minimum of 2 meters. But we have made some examples to clarify this, sorry. Okay, then this one in yellow is important because before, all anti-panic area lighting was designed to have a lux. Now there are some zones where we will need to design for 1 lux in the whole anti-panic area. This includes MIVA toilets, so toilets for disabled people, showers, changing rooms, and also dressing rooms with shower larger than 8 square meters. So for example, showers in sports facilities will need 1 lux. And also single occupancy toilets where there's a baby changing table will need 1 lux. We will also see some examples for this. So in general, we have, for example, classroom. It's larger than 60 square meters, so we apply half a lux anti-panic area in this whole area. In the old norm, it required redundancy for anti-panic lighting. This is no longer required. So 1 fixture is enough for an anti-panic zone. If you have 2 doors, for example, in this classroom, you have 2 doors, and it's not very clear which one is the escape route door. We think, as a Sweco standard, it's good that we apply our anti-panic fixture here, but that we also apply extra picto at the door to identify the escape route more clearly. So then, about these large areas where the escape route is not very clear, we have some examples here. For example, if we have an atrium or we have concert halls without fixed seating, and it's really not clear what is escape route, what is the anti-panic area, we think as a Sweco standard, it will be easier and clearer for everyone that we just design the whole area to 1 lux on the whole surface. In that way, we cover both anti-panic lighting and all escape route lighting, because every square meter is actually a virtual escape route lighting. So if the escape route is not clear, we apply 1 lux everywhere. On the other hand, if you have a concert hall or a cinema hall with very clear escape routes, so you have fixed seating, we can really say, okay, this zone is our escape route, and this zone, we see it as anti-panic area. So then we can design that this is an anti-panic area for half a lux, and this is an escape route where we need 1 lux over the escape route. In a parking, for us, it's clear as well. We evacuate, the escape route is on, in this case, the pedestrian path. So we will take in this parking this zone that is 2 meter wide. So we need to make it 2 meter wide. It will be the escape route. So there we design for 1 lux, and all the rest of the parking, we see it as anti-panic area, and there we design to half a lux. If the pedestrian paths are not defined, we will define the escape route is on the center lines of the driving ways. So there we will design to 1 lux on 2 meter wide bands, and the rest of the area will be anti-panic lighting that we design to half a lux. Then, because the norm says a lot about toilets, etc., we'll maybe see some quick examples. So here, for example, we have a toilet. Toilet facilities that are larger than 8 square meter, we will design with anti-panic half a lux. So these little cells are smaller than 8 square meters, so you don't need to place a fixture there. In this zone, you place an anti-panic fixture, so you have half a lux in the whole zone. Here, they are smaller than 8 square meters, so there's no requirements to put anti-panic lighting there or any emergency lighting. For example, here, this top part is the same principle. So you just place an emergency light in the where you wash your hands, the larger part of the toilet facilities, and then here in the circulation area, that will be the escape route. So you need to provide two fixtures, and you have escape route lighting. So here you need 1 lux over the whole band with minimum 2 luminaires. If in the same example, this escape route is smaller than 8 square meter, we can simplify the design, and it's okay to apply 1 escape route fixture in combination with 1 internally lit picto, but the condition needs to be met that you still have your 1 lux on this whole escape route. Yeah, this is similar. We will also give you this so you can go through it on your own time. Okay, here, for example, there is no door. So we need to place an emergency light for anti-panic in this toilet. Also, 1 in the accessible toilet, we need to go to 1 lux. This is new. Here again, we need half a lux in the toilet facilities. And then we need 1 lux in the escape route light, in the escape route here. And we need 1 lux on the escape route here. And because there is no door, we have redundancy. They will, if 1 fixture falls out, the other one will still be working. If we have this same setup, but we will have a door here, it means that we don't have the redundancy, so we need to see each escape route separately. So this SOS will need an escape route or anti-panic fixture here. So you have 1 lux in this escape route SOS plus an internally lit picto, and on the escape route here, you will need 2 emergency luminaires that will make that you have 1 lux on the escape route. In showers and changing rooms. So a standard changing room, half a lux is okay. So just put your luminaires that we have half a lux anti-panic lighting. If you have showers in combination with dressing rooms, it will become 1 lux. So then you will also need to place in the showers an emergency lighting, and if needed, you will need to place more. But we believe that with this fixture, you will, in most cases, also have your 1 lux. But this will be explained also in the design guidelines with the tables, how many fixtures exactly you need to place. So here you will have showers in cubicles. So it means this is dressing area for showers. So it's larger than 8 square meters. So you need to also place anti-panic lighting to 1 lux. You don't need to put in every cubicle an emergency light. That's not necessary. Same here, you have showers. So we go to 1 lux instead of half a lux. Then in this example, you had a shower, a mini sauce here, and then a large dressing room, changing room. Because there are showers, we need to go to 1 lux, but we say that these sauces and the showers are like working together as 1 space. So you don't need to place an emergency light in every cubicle, but the whole larger dressing area should be designed to 1 lux anti-panic. Then for indoor swimming pools, there's also a new recommendation. This is not mandatory, but it's a recommendation that on the whole water surface and the circulation areas around the pool, you need to have 5 lux horizontal. In the sport norm for pools, they say something else. They say that you need 5% of the minimum. So you need 5 lux of the normal lighting level for minimum 30 seconds, and then you need to apply the emergency lighting. But if you, for example, have a competition pool where you need 500 lux, then 5% of 500 lux is 25 lux. So it means you need 25 lux for 30 seconds, which is quite a lot. But this norm is not part of the KB basisnormen, but this is a pool is a risk situation. So if you have a pool, we would say talk to your design team, discuss it early enough with the client in the design stage, so we are make good that we have a good understanding with the whole design team what we should apply here. Yes. Then a high-risk task area. This didn't really change. It just says that in high-risk areas, dangerous situation, you cannot have less than 10 lux of the normal lighting, and this should be minimum 15 lux. New in the new norm is that they write that this high task area should be identified by the employer. So this is also a question that you need to ask early on to your client in the design stage. Local area, maybe it's a bit less important right now. And then Steven, I will let you explain the design guidelines.
Okay, thank you, Matilda. Yeah, this part is a bit an extension of the SWICO standards, you could call it. Yeah, maybe for the less experienced colleagues, an overview how to make the steps in the design the best way. So I think for the more experienced colleagues, it will be more, yeah, not new. So I will go through to the next slide. Can you take control, Mathilde, because I don't. First about the safety signs. So the general rule is to ask for an escape route plan at the architect. It's not always available. If not, yeah, then it's no other opportunity than make one yourself. It's not a rocket science to make one. You have to look at the fire compartments. If there is, I think, less than 100 people in a fire compartment, then you should have one escape route. If it's more, then you should have two escape routes, and then it's just a matter of placing the safety signs in the escape route to the escape doors. So it's not that very difficult, and also to take into account the viewing distances of the safety signs, but we will talk about it later on in the examples. So as Mathilde already said, we think it's more convenient to use internally illuminated safety signs everywhere. It will have consequences on the price a bit, extra luminaires, but as she said already, it makes a clear distinguish between safety signing and the escape route, one lux level on the floor, because otherwise you still have a mix of those two, and it's in that mix that faults happen, and yeah, that we have problems in execution, and of course we don't want that. So no use of the signs with extra LED. Yeah, you always have on the you still have on the market the safety signs with the extra LEDs on the bottom of the fixture. It's which also helps on the one lux level on the escape route. You could use them, but I would not recommend it, because then again you have a mix between the two, and then you have again what is the interdistance with other escape route fixtures or anti-panic fixtures. And yeah, for each manufacturer it's different. Some of it have a good lens in it, some of them not that good. So we think it's not that good idea to apply these fixtures. Just stick to the ones that just have the safety signs. Then maybe for modeling in Revit, we should use an index at the Revit families to make sure that it's clear what is the mounting. So P for surface mounting, M for wall mounting, S for suspended mounting. I think maybe the VK colleagues are using different way, so I let it open for them to use another way for the moment. Then an exception, as Mathilde also said, it's not recommended to use the externally illuminated signs. If you use it, then you can follow the rules of the points of emphasis with the requirement of 5 lux. So, and the requirement of that is that you should position it, the fixture, in front of the sign within 1 or 2 meters of it. Okay. Then for I will explain now 2 situations, 2 applications. Maybe one just a corridor. Here it is a corridor of a building with classrooms. So we will have. Can you go to the next one, Mathilde?
Can you not click?
No, I don't. Even with here, the red circles are the escape doors. So, in fact, in those positions, we need the safety signs. Okay. So then we put here the safety signs as a first order in the design stage. Then you should have a look at the maximum viewing distance. Mostly it is for internally lit signs between 25 and 30 meters. It's the standard says that it should be counted as 200 times the height of the picto. So then you come to the 25 meters maximum. If you are further away from it, then you should add some safety signs. So here, this one is added because it's further away. If you are here, you don't not have a good look at this sign. Okay. Yeah, then the same way for a second application. This is an open area, a workshop area with machinery in it, and we have a double height. We have a zone with a single height and a zone with a double height. So here again, we have the escape doors. This is not an escape door, by the way, but all the others are an escape door. This is an inside escape door. All the others are directly outside escape door. We place the pictos here. Okay. Then again, look at the maximum viewing distance. So if you are positioned here, then you you don't have a good view on this pictogram. If you are positioned here, you cannot see this pictogram. Okay. So then it's needed that you have to add certain safety signs here at these positions. Okay. Then the second thing to take into account are the points of emphasis, and you could split them up into groups, as already mentioned. So the points of emphasis with the requirement of 5 lux at the vertical plane, and the point of emphasis where they only mention near or at in the standard. So firstly, the points of emphasis with the 5 lux at the vertical plane, we list them up here again. Then we think as a SWICO standard, And Mathilde also calculated it in various positions, that if the ceiling height is less than 3 meters, then it's okay to place a dedicated luminaire with an anti-panic lens within 1 and 2 meters in front of the points of emphasis. If in fact the ceiling height is higher than 3 meters, then it's not enough to have a standard anti-panic lens with a standard lumen output. Then you should have one with a higher lumen output, because you don't have the 5 lux at the fire hose, for example, or at the fire buttons. And then you need a higher lumen output. And yeah, certain manufacturers have a spot lens. For example, I think Zumtobel have it, but it's I think not everyone has it, that spot lens. So we think it's better to apply the anti-panic lens with a higher lumen output. Then more manufacturers can apply this. Okay, then again to those same applications, you then identify the points of emphasis. So the fire buttons are next to the fire hoses and next to the doors. We have also a switchboard here in the corridor. Then, so at those points, we add a luminaire in front of it to have the requirements of the 5 lux meted. So then in the second applications, again, we identify the fire buttons and the other points of emphasis. We have a few fire hoses, we have a switchboard. Here is also an extra button because we are you need always a button within 30 meters walking distance. So you have to identify this one too. Then the blue ones are in the single height zone. So it's a normal lumen output fixture we needed here in front of it. So the point of emphasis we need here, this button is because there is a glass here is further away than the 2 meters from the door. Here, in fact, we need within 2 meters of the door also one. And here at the double height, we need the orange luminaires, and they are the high output variants to meet the 5 lux requirements also. Okay. Then the other group of points of emphasis, we listed them up here again, with only the mentioning of the words near or at. Then the standard says the only requirement is to put it within 2 meters of it. Okay. So again, with the applications here, we have, wait a minute, an extra luminaire is not needed here because we are within the 2 meters from the intersection of the corridors. So we have an intersection of corridors, but we already had here the luminary for the switchboard. So it's not needed an extra luminaire here. And the other points of emphasis are not applicable here in this application, but in the other application we have them at all. So the yellow hatching is the escape route in that open area. So at all intersections of the escape routes, we place an anti-panic luminaire. Here already we had one, so it's in the light blue. We added one also at the outside at the outside area at the escape doors, we place a luminaire, and here also at the door within the 2 meters, because we need here an extra one because it's further away than 2 meters. This one was again for the fire button. This cannot meet the requirement for the door because it's more than 2 meters away, so we need an extra one here. Okay. Then, yeah, the problem we all always have with the portable fire extinguishing equipment, like we see here, and now with the extra problem with the escape route and rescue plans, those things will for sure not be known in study phase. So then we just say that it's better to include extra luminaires in the estimated quantities in the bill of quantity, because for sure you don't have a clue where they're gonna hang this rescue plants and this AED equipment. I think is not known in study phase. So just make sure you have the budget in your project and you include some extra luminaires in your bill of quantity. Then the third step is the escape route lighting. You have to make sure. Yeah, Matilda made a lot of work of it to calculate with the different manufacturers what is the maximum interdistance between two escape route fixtures, or between an escape route fixture and an anti-panic fixture, and we summarize it in a table. So with the three, I think the three manufacturers were Zemper, Zumtobel, and ETAP Lighting, the most used one here in Belgium. And we took the worst one as a maximum. So here it is all listed up. You can look at it on the SharePoint and on the wiki pages. We'll have it's stated here also. So at the wiki page at Sweco standards of the emergency lighting, you can have a link to those tables. And again, here it's first of all, ask it to the architect. It's a bit the same things here that are stated in this page. Yeah, you could use, you have the choice of the right choice of a lens. You could use the escape route or the anti-panic. Sometimes it's better if you have a long corridor. It's of course better to use the escape routes. If you have a wider space, it's better to use the anti-panic one. And always make sure now with the new update of the standard to make sure that you have 2 luminaires in each space on the escape route, with the exception of if it's less than 8 square meters, that you can have one escape route luminaire and one safety sign. Okay, then again for the application, in those pink colored luminaires, we have to add in between the ones we already have for the point of emphasis. You just fill it up, the escape route, where it's needed. So here we need an extra one because the interdistance between this one and this one is too big. Here it's the same way, between the two blue ones it's too big. Here it's also too big. Here we use an escape route lens. Here also, because it's a long, small path. And you just fill the gaps in. Then for the other application, For the escape routes, so the yellow paths, we just fill it in as in the previous example. You could use here the escape route lenses, all of it. So then you make sure that you have the one lux on the yellow escape route plan paths. Yeah, then we thought it would be not bad to pay attention on a difficult thing always is the staircases. We think you have three possible variants of applying the emergency lighting in staircases. First of all, if you have a floor screed on all landings, then it's the best way, of course, to put just in the central points of the landings an escape route luminary. You could choose between an anti-panic lens or a normal escape route lens. It makes not a lot of difference. You meet again the one lux on the steps and on the landings. But mostly you don't. This is not the case, especially on the intermediate landings. You don't have screed, so then you should. Yeah, you have other possibilities, and this is one possibility that you place the luminaires against the walls, but at the ceiling. So then cabling can come out of the walls, and there is no cabling visible. Of course, if cabling is if the cabling can be visible, there is no issue. Of course, if it's only in cases where visible cabling is an issue. So, and of course, you must stagger the luminaires at either sides of the landings. A third way to do it is to use built-in batteries in the normal lighting fixtures, but pay attention that you use then fixtures with this standard, that they comply to this standard. And yeah, mostly you apply them on the wall. You could also have a variant where you put it on the ceiling, a lighting line here. So you could come out of it with cabling out of the walls. But of course, then it's difficult to in projects with you where you want a central management system for your emergency system. It could be difficult to integrate those luminaires. So then those cannot be managed. Okay. Then the last thing is the anti-panic lighting for the examples. Yeah, then Mathilde made also for those circumstances the calculations and the interdistances for all the manufacturers, and listed up the interdistances between, for the one lux, again with escape route luminaire, what is the interdistance, and then between two anti-panic fixtures for a half lux and for one lux, and again between the wall and the fixtures and the fixtures in between them. You have the maximum interdistance, so you could easily use it without calculate it all the time. And there are also with a link in those on the wiki. Here again, for the example, we only need it in the second example, of course. In the zones in between the escape route paths, we must fill those gaps in with the 0.5 lux level. So we need there the pink ones with the anti-panic lenses, and you just fill it up those zones with maximum interdistance tables. And then as a last one, you the high risk tasks, they have to be identified by the client, because he knows what kind of work will be done in the different rooms. And if it's needed, then a detailed calculation is needed because it will need fairly high lux levels. So yeah, and take into account that not always the whole room is needed. It can be limited to the task plane, so the extra cost can be reduced then. And also here, don't forget that you always here also in this occasion you need to use the fixtures with which comply to this standard. So what's the conclusion? Yeah, the good news is that most things do not change. And the most important changes to take into account are, we think, are the redundancy and the escape route plan, so the minimum of 2 luminaires. Then the safety signs, yeah, where the new standards in fact forces us, we think, to the internally illuminated safety signs, because otherwise we think you will for sure have problems in execution and with the certification. You will have problems, we think. So then it's better to use the internally illuminated safety signs. Okay, I know in Belgium it's not very common, but in other European countries like the Netherlands, France, Germany, it's already a good practice. So I think we must jump onto it, and I think we are, as Sweco, big enough to make this change in the market. And then the points of emphasis, some of them are new, most of them are not new, but make sure for the extra quantities in the bill of quantity. And then the toilets, I think we previously applied it already in a certain kind of way. The changing rooms are a bit new, maybe, especially between the 0.5 and the 1 lux, which is not clearly written in the standards, but with the examples that Mathilde has shown, we think it is clear now. And yeah, the market, it's a first throw that we now do. The market will show how it evolves, we think. Also with what will the certification bodies how will they manage the new standards? We don't know it yet. So maybe some things will change in time, but yeah, they are not chiseled in stone. Feedback is always welcome, I think. But I think when you apply the things we here put in this as a Sweco standards, you should meet all the requirements and you don't have a lot of problems in execution. Okay. Then yeah, the Sweco standard on the wiki page is still based on the old version, of course. There is an elaborated text on it. Yeah, some things are still okay, but other things, of course, are changed. So that's also the reason why we made this document. And this presentation and also the interdistance tables you can also consult on the Sweco standard wiki page. And then, yeah, as a last thing, the specification texts, especially the safety signs, must have an update, and also the other ones need an update. And yeah, we will try to adapt them as soon as possible. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions for Mathilde or myself.
Yes, thank you for this very good presentation. Yes, I have a question for a special case. I got a plan for a project with escape routes from the architect fire expert, and there are several escape routes that are possible. I mean, there are two staircases that could be used, and on one door, about same distance from each staircase, he shows the escape routes going opposite in the two directions. Does it make sense to have on this door to have on one side a sign showing escape routes this way and on the other side on the other way? Or in this case, is it necessary to have dynamic signs that react according to where the fire detection is made?
Well, yeah, the dynamic escape route lighting is now mentioned once in the standard now, but I don't think you must apply this in this.
If you like, I can show you. So we have this escape staircase, this escape, and on that door, he shows arrows showing he put arrows showing the escape routes. So does it make sense to put a sign like this here and there without dynamic?
Yeah, without dynamic.
It works.
Dynamic is only in certain difficult circumstances where you don't meet some fire safety requirements for some reason. So and it's always also have a big impact on your budget, I think. So it's not needed. The norm says nothing about when to apply it or not. They just say you can, in certain circumstances, it can be a good idea, but they don't say when. So I think you should not use it in most cases. I think only in very limited cases it can be an extra. For example, in buildings with a lot of people in it, where there can be confusion between that you send people in the wrong way where the fire is. But in most cases, I would not.
But so it makes sense to have
to put at the one side at this direction and at the other side. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. I already placed the link to the wiki in the chat as well. So there we have placed a PDF of the presentation. It's a bit longer version, but you can just look at the parts that are relevant to you. And also there is a separate PDF with the interdistance tables that you can put next to you the first times you're designing your buildings. So I think if there's no more questions, we can wrap up the meeting. Thank you all for your attention. And let us know if you have still questions or if you have things that you're not sure about. Always feel free to write us a message.
Matilda, I have one little remark for you guys. It was a very interesting presentation. Many thanks for that. But especially for the more complex projects, when you're talking about evacuation plans, often when you start designing, these plans aren't available yet. But these projects, we often also have a cooperation with our colleagues from fire safety engineering who do the CFD simulations sometimes as well on how the evacuation is realized throughout the building. So it may be interesting to involve them as well at that point. Just a general remark.
Yeah, we could, as SWECO, give the possibility to the client that SWECO makes the escape route plans. It can be, but that is a decision of management. I think we should talk to the management about it.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think maybe we can also give our presentation to the people of fire and maybe also see where we can help each other out. I think that's a good remark.
And the presentation will be made available, right?
It's
Yeah.
already on
Okay.
the wiki on the top.
Okay,
It's in
wonderful.
PDF.
Thanks.
Yes,
Okay,
you can find it.
I'll send it right away to them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matilda. Thank you,
Thank you.
Stefan.
See you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.